Hey there everyone, Rajat here. So in today's video, I will show you how easily you can document your REST API in .NET Core. So .NET Core allows you to document your APIs using two packages. One is Swashbuckle and the other one is NSwag. So when you create a brand new web API using the .NET CLI application, the .NET CLI sets up Swashbuckle package for you, so you do not have to do anything in order to make it work. So from the get-go you get Swashbuckle set up for you so that you can go in to your project and start writing or documenting your API with ease. If you want to use NSwag, there is a separate documentation available which you can use. So in today's video we will see the demonstration of the Swashbuckle package and how easily we can document our REST API. Okay, so I will start with booting up a brand new web API using .NET new web API and then the name of my folder. Okay, so this will create a new API for me, and inside this API I will get to see the setup of Swashbuckle as well. Okay, so I'll navigate to the folder and open it in my favorite text editor. For me it is Visual Studio Code. So these are all the files. So if you have seen my earlier videos which dealt with setting up APIs and building APIs in .NET Core, you might have some idea about what these files and folders are. But if you are very new to the .NET ecosystem, I highly recommend you to watch my other videos where I have detailed everything related to setting up web APIs in .NET Core. So if you are brand new, please check those videos out. Having said that, let's first of all try to run our project using the .NET run command. Okay, once the project is up, you will get to see where it is hosted. In our case it is this particular URL. You can control click on it and you will be taken to this URL, but as of now there is nothing here. If we go to weather forecast, you will get to see some data. This is a get request and this is a data served by the get request, and it is coming from this particular controller's get method. Okay, so we wanted to learn about how to document our API. So as we have already discussed that a package known as Swashbuckle has been set up for you from the get-go, so we can readily use that. So if we go to Swagger, we will get to see this nice UI where our REST API endpoints will be documented. So we can see the model and the endpoint. So this is the endpoint. Okay, and it creates the data of type array of weather forecast. So this is what you can see over here. So this is the bare bones application that has been created for us. So what we will do is we will get rid of these default stuff and I will explain everything in detail from the get-go. So the very first step is to get rid of these default controller and models. Okay, now we have got nothing. Okay, so here we can see Swagger. So what is Swagger? So Swagger is basically a set of tools using which you can document your API using Open API specification, which is an open source specification for documenting your APIs. Okay, so first of all we will go to our startup program, and over here you can get to see this add Swagger gen command. So basically this sets up Swagger generator for you. Okay, and over here we have this API info. Okay, so I will show you how easily you can change some stuff so as to meet your likings. So over here we can see the name. So we can go over here and change the name Open API doc for my REST API. So that is how you can change this stuff. If I shut this application down and restart it again, see I have changed the title of my application. Similarly, there are a couple of other fields which I can change, like terms and service. So in order to use this, I have to import this Microsoft Open API models, which is already imported. So make sure this line is there. Then you can write terms of service. Okay, so if you want to provide a TNC, you can simply write new URI and then whatever the URL of your terms and service page. In my case, I can call it lol.com.tnc. Again, if I restart the API, I will get to see the TNC over here. Similarly, if I want to put in my contact information, I mean the contact information of the person who has written this API, I can do this new open API contact, and then I can provide the properties like name and then email lol.com, because I am operating this lol.com fictionary website in this case. And then I can also provide my website as well, new URI and then https lol.com. So if I reboot it again, I will get to see all this information over here. So this is how you can provide some contact information, TNC and other stuff to your API documentation so that people can reach out to you. Okay, so this is about the configuration part. Now let's get to the actual stuff, that is documenting a real API. So in order to create a documentation for an API, we need to have an API in place, right? So let's create an API first of all. So right click over here and create a new folder called models. Okay, inside this models folder, we are going to create an object called item, and this is just any other item. So let's suppose we are creating an inventory, okay, an inventory management system, and then inventory can contain items, right? So namespace Swagger demo dot models, okay, this is going to be our namespace, public class item, okay, and then we can have some properties like ID, then name and units available. It can also be string units available. Okay, so this can be our item. Now we want to create an in-memory database which can contain these items when created by any user. So let's do it first of all. So let's set up an in-memory database. Go back to your terminal and write a command .NET add package Microsoft entity framework core in memory, and wait for some time and it will get installed. Okay, it is installed for us. Now let's set up the in-memory database. Okay, so let's go back to the startup file and come to the bottom of the configure services page, and over here you have to write services dot add db context, and over here we have to provide a context. Okay, as of now we do not have a context ready, so let's first of all write the context. Again go back to the models, okay, and inside this thing create a new file called swagger context.cs. Again the namespace is going to be swagger demo.models, public class Swagger context, and it extends db context, and we have to create a db set. I have explained all of these stuff in my earlier videos, so if something is not making sense, make sure you check my other videos out. So it is going to be of type item, and then we are just going to create a db set for our items, and then we need a public constructor, db context options, and then Swagger context options, and it calls the base constructor along with the options, and that is it. So we have got our context ready, and now we can plug this context over here, Swagger context. Okay, so here we have to import Swagger demo dot models namespace. That is how it will discover this Swagger context. Okay, if we do not include this particular import, this thing will not be discovered. That's the reason. Again, open a bracket, then options, opt use in memory database. Okay, and then call it database name. It can be anything. I can call it in memory database. Okay, so we have wired up the in memory database in our application. Now the only thing that is remaining is the controller part. So let's quickly reboot our application so as to check everything is working correctly. It is not. Type or namespace could not, db context could not be found because we have forgotten to import Microsoft.entity framework core inside our Swagger context. Okay, so let's see if it builds this time. Again, in startup.cs as well, we need this particular import because down here we are using add db context, and this particular entity is coming from this particular entity framework core namespace. So that is why we also need it in the startup.cs. Okay, it has booted up. So if we reload this file again, as of now nothing is defined because in our controllers it can find no controller. So let's create a controller because that is how the Swashbuckle package scans your API and discovers everything, right? So let's create a controller called items controller.cs. Okay, and over here you have to first of all do the customary namespace thing. So it is going to be Swagger demo dot controllers, and then public class items controller. Okay, now in order to make it a proper controller, you have to define certain annotations. In our case it should be like API controller. That is how it knows that it is a controller, and then you also have to define the route, and the route is going to be the name of the controller. Okay, let's set up the controller. So private read only logger items controller. So we are just setting up the logger here. If we might not have deleted the other default controller, you might have gotten all that stuff from there as well, but for brevity I am writing it or typing it down manually. So public items controller, then it takes an argument iLogger items controller and then logger. Okay, so it simply sets the reference, and in order to use the iLogger thing, you also have to import a namespace called Microsoft extensions logging. Okay, so let's create our first route, that is the get route for getting all the items. So over here you can write public iasync enumerable of type item, the get method, and over here you can do return, and then we have to return something, right? So we are going to get these items from our in-memory database, so we need a way to access that database. So let's come over here and write private read-only Swagger context, because that is how you interact with the entity framework. Okay, and over here as well in the constructor part we are going to get an instance of Swagger context, because .NET uses dependency injection under the hood, so we can readily get an instance of Swagger context, and that is how we can access the database. Okay, and now over here we can simply return the items from the context. Okay, so we have set up a small controller. Let's see by rebooting our .NET API whether iLogger could not be found. We also have to import one more namespace, that is Microsoft ASP.NET Core MVC. Okay, let's see if it boots up this time. Okay, it again says Swagger context could not be found, and we also have forgotten to import Swagger demo.models, because that is where the context is located. So do not make such mistakes, because then you will not be able to boot up your application. Since we are using iasync enumerable, we also need to import system collections and generic. So turns out there was a mistake in, or there was a typo in the spelling of extensions. I typed in extension with a T instead of extension with an S. Okay, so that was the typo, and now we can run our API. So let's go back to the Swagger and it fails to load. Let's see what's the error. So it says ambiguous HTTP method for action, because over here we have not provided an annotation called HTTP GET. That is the reason the swashbuckle package is getting confused. So talking about the swashbuckle package, if you head over to swaggerdemo.csproj file, you will get to see this package reference which has been set up for us, and this package reference points to swashbuckle as we have already seen. So this is how the .NET has configured swashbuckle for us. Okay, so let's run the API again, and let's reload this thing, because now we have annotated our get method properly. We will get to see the particular get route, and it says items. Okay, so over here I will get to see how my response will be produced. So it is going to be an array of type this particular entity, and this particular entity is coming from the items model, right? So these are the three fields available in the items model, and over here I can clearly see that this particular element is going to have three fields. So it has documented my entire get route properly along with all the parameters that are going to be there in the response code. Okay, so I can also try it out. So as of now, if I do the fetch using the get method, I will issue this command. I mean, the Swagger UI has issued this command on this particular URL and it has gotten this response. So as of now, there is nothing inside this response body. So let's quickly get some items in our in-memory database and then we can clearly get to see such items. So in order to create the items, we can create a post route in the items controller and then we can post stuff as well. So let's create a post route. So start with the annotation http post, create a route, public I action result, create. Okay, we can call it create. It accepts an item of type item and then over here we can simply use the context and add the item and then we can save changes and then we can return the OK response. Okay, and we have forgotten one thing, that this particular thing extends from controller base. Okay, that is why this OK was giving the error warning. So your controllers have to extend from the controller base class. So reboot our API and reload our Swagger API as well. So now you can get to see these post items route and our item schema is also listed over here. So if I go to this post item and expand it and click on this try it out, I can actually edit these fields in order to create a post request. So let me create a simple item. Let's call it ID and the item name is avocados and the units available is 10 and I can simply execute it. Okay, so it says response body is true, right, which means that it has successfully posted this stuff on this particular URL, as you can also notice from the curl statement. Okay, and it has gotten a successful response because we have set up everything using the in-memory database. So hopefully our database has stored this avocados entry, right? So now we can again visit the get route and try it out and execute it, and now we have gotten a non-blank array containing one item and that is the exact item which we have just created using the post request. Okay, so this is how we can test our API using Swagger. So this was a small demonstration of how you can document your APIs using Swashbuckle package in .NET Core. I can again create one more item, call it X, units available is 12 and execute it. Again I will get a true response, and if I head back to the get request again and execute it again, I will get to see 2 items. So my entire API is working correctly, right? So I am creating my API and Swashbuckle is creating a documentation for my API without me doing anything. So that is how you can use the Swashbuckle package in order to create a nice documentation for your API so that other developers can also see and assimilate your REST APIs easily. Okay, so if you have any questions or doubts or any queries related to the stuff we have learned today, make sure you leave a comment. I read every single comment that you guys leave on this channel. On top of that, if you have any other query, you can come join my Discord channel where I chat with you guys and address your queries in detail. Have a nice day and I see you guys over in the next video.